Welcome everyone to episode 62 of the Circle Back Podcast, a show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufresnoy.
Hello.
And Shelby White.
I'm back, baby.
Shelby's back.
We miss Shelby.
Guys, I have quite a few games to talk about. We're going to start with that. Then we just have a couple quick news hits. This might be a bit of a shorter episode, but I want to ask you, Daniel.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I forget what I put on the list.
Good start. Good start.
So I'm going to talk about a game that
I don't know. You tell me. What have I been playing?
Dan, you mind reminding me?
So a game that came out a few years ago. Haven't played it, didn't touch it. I know Dan was a big fan of it, called Soma. Me and my sister have
Excellent
been
game.
playing through it. It's a survival horror game, and it's really, really crazy and really, really creepy. It's got it very, it's very much like BioShock inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Your first person, you have this whole intro, and I think this is giving it away. You're in like a car accident, and you go to like this brain scan place, and then once you're at that place, they're doing a brain scan on you, and like
Otherwise known as a CAT scan, right?
You know those old brain scan places? Go to the brain scan clinic. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
CAT scan place. And then and you wake up in this like crazy world where like there's like these like robot hybrid virus people. And it just, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, I know it came out a few years ago. I would recommend playing it. It's scary, but it really, really dives deep into the whole idea of like
sci-fi
what
story.
is what does it mean to be a human? A lot of, I don't know if this is giving too much away.
You keep saying that.
Your consciousness, people's consciousness are being kind of put into these robot-like creatures, and I know you played the Swapper, Shelby.
Yeah.
The only way to get past is to maybe take power away from another robot, or kind of turn off the power source from another robot. And it just kind of plays with the whole idea of like, well, what is a consciousness? Like, is that what makes someone human, or do they need to be flesh and blood? And it plays with that. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really cool. There is kind of like BioShock 2. There is moments that just kind of feel very sloggy and kind of, just weighed down. Like, okay, I got to get from here to here. Oh, now I got to do this to, I got to turn on this power source or lock this door.
Yeah, definitely. I always thought that game would have benefited from just being like a tighter, shorter experience. Like it feels like it's, I say this a lot about like story-based games, but it's like feels when something feels like it's having gameplay to lengthen
make
the
the game
experience, like that's not necessarily a good thing.
Right. Having said that, though, the topics that it deals with, especially with the idea of like shifting consciousnesses and does that mean that these people died, or are they still alive? Sort of things. I like those sort of questions.
Oh yeah,
it's very Philip K. Dick in that way, and I really, really
it's very, very cool.
Appreciate that.
They're definitely not human anymore, but they're still alive.
Well, so that's that's what you got to question. Like, so then is it okay to take away their power source? What I mean? And it plays with that.
It's more about like personhood than humanity.
Yeah.
It's not about really humanity. It's about like, is this a being? Is this
your
a
soul,
person?
your consciousness.
But it's even, who like, does it matter? Like, a dog's not a human, but it has its own person. You know what I mean? Like it's its own being.
Right.
That's kind of what they're asking. They're not saying like, or generally, these kind of questions aren't tied to humanity in particular.
Right.
It's more about like
personhood, livelihood.
Yeah, exactly.
And is it moral to end that for your own gain, or you know what I mean? And it plays with that, and it definitely does a good job. It has these horror elements where it really does kind of affect you when you are taking a power source away from a person. They'll just be writhing and screaming just like a person. It's like it's very eerie.
Rough. It's so good though.
And and some of those guys that are coming after you are pretty scary, so it's definitely a scary experience.
It is a horror game, no doubt.
It is a horror game, but I'm really, really enjoying it. Me and my sister are probably halfway through, maybe like 70%, even more than halfway, but really, really enjoyable. I'd recommend anybody that missed it. It was on PlayStation, not PlayStation Plus, maybe PlayStation Plus, I don't know, PlayStation something.
Okay.
It was for free.
That's PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation Plus.
I asked you when you had mentioned that you've been playing Soma. I said, are you playing it on the safe mode?
Yes, on safe mode.
And one of the coolest things that this game has done. So remember when we talked about Wolfenstein New Colossus 2 years ago, and I was like, this game is so good, and it's just frustrating sometimes. And it's like, don't be afraid to bump down the difficulty and just enjoy it, because you're there for the cool moments in the story and the characters. Like, Soma was so frustrating in like the way the monster, whatever, chases you and gets you and whatever. It was so frustrating. And it was like, this game shouldn't be this. And so they made, like, a year plus after, they made this safe mode that's basically just, you're not in danger in the same way that you were, and so it takes away a lot of that frustration. It's so awesome.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, that's what we're playing it on.
Yeah,
but
so I would recommend people play it on that.
Scared of the monsters, but
yeah, but I'm being honest with you, that's the way to play it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, believe it or not.
So yeah, that's Soma.
Cool. I dipped back into Apex Legends. They just released Season 2.
Nice.
Been playing quite a bit of it. The new legend, Watson. We talked about her a little bit on our E3 episode. She puts up electric fences that slow and damage enemies that go through them. She also puts up it's like a shield generator, but it shoots projectiles out of the air. So like if someone throws a grenade in its vicinity, it'll like shoot it down. It's like an whatever it's called. What's the like a missile defense?
I thought a CAT scan was called a brain scan, so don't ask me these questions.
But anyway, it basically
anti-aircraft.
Yes, there's a name for it, like on spaceships where it or planes that shoot out other missiles. You know what I mean? Like stuff comes
as like
out,
flares.
boom, boom, boom,
as I know what you mean. Yeah.
So this basically does that. But the big change. So adding a legend is big. Changing the map, they changed the map a lot. They did a kind of what Fortnite does of, all right, this big thing happened. Now the dinosaurs that you saw in the background are like on the map.
Oh, okay.
So it's huge, like brontosaurus-looking guys that are just in one spot, and then every once in a while they'll like pick up their big foot and like stomp it down, and you can get crushed by it.
That's cool.
But it totally changed the layout of the map. Like a lot of these areas, it's almost like time has passed, and they basically like built like new structures to like study these monsters or whatever the hell they're doing. But it's really, really neat. They also added flying like pterodactyl-ish guys that grab death boxes, so they don't hurt anybody, but after you die, your death box has all your stuff in it, right? These things will grab a death box that's untouched and just start flying through the air. If you shoot them twice, they drop the death box.
Okay.
So you can like, hey, that guy's right over, I shoot it, and it falls down, and you run over and grab that person's stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Really neat.
That's a cool idea.
So they did a lot of cool stuff like that, but the real change that makes this, like if you had not played Apex Legends before but you were interested, the reason now is the time is because the Battle Pass, the way that they work the Battle Pass is so much better now. You get 3 daily challenges every day. You get weekly recurring challenges, weekly challenges that stack on each other. So if you don't complete them in week 1, you can still do them, in the past.
Cool.
It's like exactly what the Battle Pass should have been for Season 1. They finally figured it out. They made a lot of skins that are looking cooler. Like they've really done a really great job with this
Apex.
season. So
they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, they also added ranked leagues, which are really cool. I want to detail them a little bit here. I'm not going to get in the weeds, but so you start in Bronze 4. As you get points by getting a kill in a ranked match or placing. So if you get top 10, if you get 10th, you get 2 points. If you get 9th, you get 2 points. Once you get to 5th, you get like 4 points. And then 4th, you get like 5, and then it goes up and up. If you win, you get like 10 points. So the better you're doing and the more kills you're getting, the more points you're getting to advance you to the next rank. Because once you get 30 points or whatever the amount is, you go from Bronze 4 to Bronze 3.
Okay.
So it goes all the way up, and then when you're in Bronze 1 and you go to it goes to Silver next. Once you're in Silver, you spend 1 point in order to start a match.
Wow.
So you have 120 points at the start of Silver 4. Once you spend your point, if you don't get a kill or don't place well,
you're back to bronze.
You're back down.
So it won't jump you back to bronze, but say you have like 125 points or something, and you play and you don't get it, you're down to 124. You're down to 123. You know what I mean? So like, it's a really interesting way. And then I believe that as you're ranking up, I'm only in bronze or silver or 4. I don't play that much, but I believe once you go higher, it costs more points to get in.
Oh, interesting.
So like by the time you're in gold,
5.
you're spending 5 points. You better do well.
Yeah.
Like
interesting.
if you don't do, and you're playing with other people that are similarly ranked.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Now, when you can't downgrade from like from silver to bronze, you just lose your points, and obviously it keeps you from progressing.
120 is like your minimum.
You get into silver with 120. But if you were to go to silver 3 and then keep losing, would you go to silver 4?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't experienced that.
It's just the medal.
I believe
maybe.
it won't drop you to bronze.
Yeah, right.
It's possible that once you get to silver 3, but I would be surprised.
But that's the thing. If you're at 120 and if you keep losing, you're down to 100 again. It doesn't mean that you're. It just means you're going to take you a lot longer to progress. You don't have to be moved.
It won't drop you below 120.
Oh, okay. That's where you go down to.
That's where it
so that's the bare minimum to making it, and that's where you. And
I think the reason that makes sense is because if you're in bronze 1, say you have 119 and you lose, you don't lose any.
Yeah.
Because you don't spend it to get in.
Right.
So that's probably why it doesn't drop you to bronze.
Right.
But
That
I would
makes sense.
assume that it would drop you silver 3 to silver 4.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But yeah, I've loved this game since it's launched, and it just keeps getting better and better. They added a couple new guns too. They added, so the big joke gun is the Mozambique, right? It's this like 3-round shotgun that's like a crappy, starter. The only time you ever pick it up if it's the only gun in front of you when you drop and you need to shoot somebody. They added a hop up that now, and if you don't play the game, this is gonna sound like gibberish, but it basically makes the Mozambique do more damage. So it's kind of like trying to make the shittier guns more viable. They're doing good stuff, and I just really.
I mean, continuing to make a game that we love better is all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Right.
Making a good game better is fantastic.
Yeah, seriously,
so
and it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Can't go wrong with that.
So yeah, that's Apex Legends Season 2.
Go Apex.
A 2019 game that we can't forget about coming into the year.
That's true. I'm sure
we won't.
I don't think we will.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to be forgetting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
cool.
That's Apex Legends. So, Shelby, I know you played an older game. We're going back to the Kingdom Hearts corner over here.
Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts
hear about
corner.
that real quick.
So quick in and out here. After beating the last one, what did I say? Chain of Memories was the last one. I sat down. I waited like a week, and then I was like, all right, I'll play 358 over 2 days, which makes sense when you play it. Like, you get it. You get the name. It's a dumb name, don't get me wrong, but it makes sense. You get it.
So explain.
I think I know what it is.
It makes sense. But it was actually fantastic. So I sat down to play this, and I was like, here comes another 20-hour game. This is one of the ones where you don't have to play. They just went through the cutscenes. They're like, you don't really have to play this because the gameplay is very similar to the last one. Let's just tell you the story and move it along because that's the story so far block. So I can't talk about gameplay, but I'm assuming it's very similar to either Chain of Memories or Kingdom Hearts 1. I don't know how it was. But they played through all the cutscenes, and then any story beat that was like changing to the story, like anything you needed to know that happened during gameplay, they just popped up a still image and wrote a little dialogue and said, hey, this is what happened here. Like, your character did this. The biggest change up in this game is that you're not Sora. You play as a different character.
Okay.
I don't want to really give it away, but it really doesn't matter at this point. This character his heart is attached to Sora. They're the same person. But, like, you know what I mean? They're the same person as far as their heart goes, because that's, like, the big thing in Kingdom Hearts, obviously, is your heart, So he's, like, the other half of Sora's heart. And I played it, like, a month ago, and I can't remember his name. I feel dumb forgetting it, but whatever. Whatever it was, he looks very similar. He's just got a better haircut. And,
is he the one that you start the second game with?
I believe so. I haven't started the game yet, but I believe so. And, but yeah, so you continue playing through as this character, and like I said, I didn't really play it, but it was like an hour long of cutscene stuff, and it was pretty good. It seems like I would have been bored if I had to play 20 hours of it, honestly, because the cutscenes kind of came back to the same spot over and over again, but it almost seemed more mission-based in a sense of like, hey, this is what we have to do. You have a job. Like, your job is to do this for the organization. You're a part of Organization 13, and you have to go on these missions to do stuff. And that's what it seems like you have to do.
The
and
character you play as
is
part of Organization 13?
Yeah. He's kind of adopted into Organization 13, as is another female character. And stuff goes on between the two of them. And Axel, the redheaded guy, Axel, he's kind of like, the three of you are all best friends. And you're doing stuff. Obviously, there's some turmoil as you go on.
Who do you think it is?
Is it Roxas?
Yes, Roxas.
Okay, because he's the guy you play in the beginning of the second game.
He's Roxas because it's Sora with an X in it. If you mix the letters around, that's why. That's what it is. That's why it's like X and then Roxas is Sora.
Xehanort.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So wait, so this was the game that. So this was.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you played, I think it was Chain of Memories, and you said that there's another person in the same world doing the same things, but kind of different. Is this what this was? Is what the different person is doing?
Kind of, but not that world. I mean, that world in particular was like kind of like a dream sequence thing.
Okay.
In the Chain of Memories called Castle Oblivion.
Okay.
But these people, this one kind of takes place. The first half of it takes place during the second half of Chain of Memories.
Okay.
Because they talk about Sora, and then you figure out that he's the second half of Sora's heart. Blah blah blah. But yeah, whatever. It was done in over an hour, and I was happy about that.
So what's the next one?
So now you're prepped for 2, right?
Two is the next one.
Where you start as Roxas. Okay,
Where
there
you start
you go.
as Roxas. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So now you delve into this character a bit more, other than just because again, I think this game was like a Game Boy game or Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
This wasn't a full-fledged big console game.
Why is it 3.58?
Because that's how many days you actually go over.
358 over 2, right?
358 over 2 because it's between the two characters. These two characters experience these 350. Like when you go, it'll be like day 7, this happened, and then it'll skip a few days. And that's why it keeps coming back to these three characters and talking about what's going on. And it goes all the way up to 358 days.
Neat.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2. Dan, I know you played a little more Bloodstained, a little more Devil May Cry 5. You don't have much to talk about with those.
Don't much to say. Feelings are the same for both, pretty much.
Okay. Shelby, you have been playing some Outer Wilds.
I have, and I don't want to talk about it because if you want to know about it, go watch Dan play it.
I love Outer Wilds.
And Dan, it's a fantastic game. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Its sense of exploration really just, and I'm not really somebody who likes those walking simulator games where you just walk around and learn stuff. That kind of bores me sometimes. This game, not at all. Right. Like if I could sit down for 5 hours straight and play it, I would.
Right.
But like it's just because you get going, you're like, all right, at the end of this run, I'll stop, and then you're like, oh, but I learned so much. Like I can't stop now.
At this planet,
you know, like I have to go back to this planet. Yep. Every planet is so different, and I just don't. I can't talk about it much.
We can't talk specifics, but I think
yeah.
I cannot say it enough. I think this is a very special game.
It's an incredible game.
I think people should play it. It's a very unique experience, and it's extremely well done.
It's like what I loved most about Breath of the Wild and The Witness. It's like
I know it's got
I love about this
major
game.
Witness
So
vibes. Just
that's what
totally different at the same time.
The things that I loved about those games, this game has it. So like those are some of those are like top 10 games ever. So we'll see where this one lands.
Yeah,
cool.
And just that music,
though.
It's
so hard to not talk about it.
I mean,
there's really only like, 2-3 songs
I know,
in the
but
game.
they're so good.
Though. Other than the people who play instruments, you know, like there's one song and that means it's bad news.
But it's still beautiful.
Yeah. Outer Wilds, fantastic. We can't talk too much about it without spoiling it, but just wanted to mention that again.
Yeah.
I'll say I've been playing more Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
On the last episode I had mentioned that I didn't touch the level creation stuff. Now I've touched a lot of level creation stuff.
You were saying you created a cool level, and
yeah, I keep for people that are interested in this kind of stuff. Check out our YouTube channel because I think we might be doing something with Super Mario Maker 2 that I haven't even talked to you guys about yet.
I was gonna say, it sounds interesting. I'll stay tuned.
I'm
but
intrigued.
yeah, I will say level creation stuff's awesome. The Wii U was the perfect console for that. It was kind of like built for that. Like the Wii U was not perfect for many things, but
for that game,
this game specifically, to have it on the TV and to be able to do the, so like the Switch is like one or the other. So that's my only frustration is that you have to have it undocked if you want to do it with the stylus or your finger. Otherwise, you have to use the controller, which is a little clunky. But yeah, I really have no complaints about Super Mario Maker 2. I think it's an amazing game. Level creation stuff's awesome. I've really jumped into it and been enjoying it quite a bit.
I'm excited. You know what? I never played the first one because to me, I was like, I don't really want to make some Mario levels. Like, I have no interest in doing that. But watching all the creations and stuff like that, obviously over the years, and now seeing what people are already doing with 2, it looks really good. And again, like, I have no desire to make Mario levels, but to play some of these levels.
That's the pitch. But that's what I tell people is like,
and I heard the story's great.
Yeah, but it's like
fun.
I understand that itch of like, or that idea of you saying, I don't really want to create a Mario level.
Yeah, but you don't have to. That's a great.
You have like
You're
millions
looking
of
at
other people.
Thousands of great
levels.
Mario levels.
The guy who did Celeste, I think, like he uploaded like 4 levels.
Yeah,
or
they're
like,
awesome.
No, I
heard them. They're amazing.
Yeah,
I heard there's a couple of people that like look out for these people and play their levels because they're like level designers. Like that's what they do.
Koji Igarashi, last Mario Maker, he had like 5 Castlevania themed like levels. Like that's what's like that's cool. Like the best.
It's a really special game. Yeah. And this
it's like Dreams in that way where it's just like
that's what I mean. You know, it was always funny to me because I was so intrigued about Dreams and actually creating in Dreams and Little Big Planet. I used to love making levels, and then I don't know what it was about Mario. I was like, I don't really want to make any Mario levels, but then watching levels, I'm like, I gotta play these. I really want to play these levels.
Yeah, it's really fucking awesome. But yeah, not much to add. I keep finding new cool levels that I'm playing. Like you said, I actually am playing Matt Thorson's levels and stuff like that. It's been fucking awesome. I also have continued to play Dota Underlords. That game is awesome. I love it. The thing that I'll say is like they are doing such a good job of making updates and patches so quickly. Like they're in there like multiple times a week patching this game and changing it and like actually changing it, adding new items, changing abilities. Like they're doing a ton of stuff
on their own or based off feedback.
Based off feedback, 100%. Based off feedback and what they're seeing. I mean, they're doing an excellent job of balancing the game. You know, this is Dota's MO. Like Dota 2, you know, I mean, it's still very popular, obviously, but in its height, you were looking at literal updates weekly, even more than that, of the game, just like little balance tweaks here and there. And it's like the fact that they're doing that sort of stuff with this game is really great.
Right away. That's good. That's great.
Before we get into, me and Dan have been playing a game, same game. Before we get to that, I know Shelby, you've been playing a couple other games that we haven't touched. So which one do you want to talk about?
So I want to talk about Crash Team Racing. You guys haven't played this yet?
This is the remaster.
Played the original,
the remake one.
Haven't played the remake.
It's the remake, Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled.
Something like that.
And it's basically the same treatment they gave the Crash games in that Insane trilogy, but they're doing it for Crash Team Racing. And what do you think?
So what they did, hands on right away. Like, I loved it. I loved it right away. Like, jumped into it. I looked at it and I was like, this looks just like the Insane trilogy. Like, it looks fantastic. Nostalgia kicks in immediately. The change up, why they called it Nitro Refueled or whatever, is because they made a sequel to CTR back in the day, but I think somebody else made it. It wasn't Naughty Dog.
Okay.
And somebody else made it, and they added that kind of like that boost system where you can kind of drift and add boosts to it. And they added that to this game, which is why they kind of... Like, they added a driving aspect and then a few extra levels and stuff, but it is the first game remade with some extra stuff, which is why they added that little extra name to it. But it's exactly how I remember it playing and stuff. And I was cruising through, having a lot of fun. It takes, like, you got to be pretty good at it, you know? Like, you get it forces you... It's not where the first couple of levels are, like, you're demolishing people by 30 seconds. You know, like, that doesn't happen. If you're winning by a second or two, usually. And I've heard a lot of people complain about it, and they were like, oh, this game's way too hard, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I don't understand. And I just didn't have that issue, so I can't touch upon those aspects until the last boss. No, the second to last boss, I should say. He was so hard. But it was just like, here with the boss levels, like, it's like some of the normal guys, like Tiny is in the game. Dingodile. You know, like, you race them, Papu or whatever, his pyramid. And the levels are so sleek looking. They look so good. there's so many times, like during the time trial stuff, I would turn and just look at stuff going on. Like the stuff that's interacting with itself in the background is so good. You know, like almost every start sign has like a guy hanging from it trying to like do something. And it's just really funny. But I had played right through the game, loved it absolutely. And it's like you play a level and you're like, I didn't win that time, but I could do this differently. You kind of see different things. Then you play the extra challenges. Like you have to play every level 3-4 times just to get all the stuff, which is an old thing. They had that, you know, like the time trial cross or whatever, which is in the regular Crash games too.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
you go back and you collect similar to I think they had it in Diddy Kong Racing maybe, where you collect like letters while you're going and have to win at the same time.
I remember
there was
that
some
from
racing
something.
game you had to do that for. I can't remember. But you had to you know what? Actually, it was Tony Hawk. You had to collect the
Yeah,
letter
that's right,
skate.
Tony
That's
Hawk,
what
yeah.
it,
Definitely had
that's
to
what
do
I
that,
remember.
yeah.
But it was like that, but racing and stuff. And I really have nothing bad to say about this game. I don't.
Great.
It's just such a good game, and the only gripe I kind of had is the load times are a little long, but really, who cares at this point? You
Who's
know,
picking it up?
we're just so used to not really having load times, especially with next gen promising no load times. You know, like we're getting into that, and this game kind of had a weirdly long load time between, and I was like, it's just, you know what it is? It's just noticeable. It's not that annoying. It's just noticeably long.
We're always in a rush to get nowhere.
That is not that does not take away from the game whatsoever. I highly recommend playing it.
Cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
It's
I'm glad you've been
fantastic
That's a
enjoying
good
it.
pickup.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. I know that there's one other that you've been playing that I wanted to play and just never got around to it.
Are we talking about Gato Roboto?
We are.
Gato Roboto is one
Shelby,
of my favorite games this year.
I
so
could just
far.
hear you say that. Just for all the
I don't know.
Roboto.
Gato Roboto. There's no nobody talks in the game other than like written dialogue, so it's like I don't know how it's pronounced, but I know gato is cat in Spanish. So
You're
it's
definitely right.
Gato, so
Yeah.
it's Gato
You're definitely
Roboto. But this game is fantastic, and I feel like you guys would love it so much because it's Super Metroid basically, but you're a cat. You know, like that's how it is.
In a giant mech suit, right?
In a giant mech.
My two
And
favorite
not
things.
just that. Like the game starts off with you, like this guy talking. His name is I think it's Greg. It starts with a G, or Jeff maybe, and he gets a distress call, and you go to the planet that the distress call is coming from, and he crash lands, and the guy gets pinned into his thing. So he's like, "Oh, my cat, go do this! Like, go help me or whatever. You gotta just press this button or whatever." And you go down, you wind up getting into the suit, and the cat, like, now you can shoot stuff, and it's super awesome. And later on, it's not just a suit. Like, you can run around as just the cat, but it's like a one-hit kill. If you get touched, you're dead. And you don't have any projectiles.
But I'm sure there's some like traversal stuff.
Yeah,
that
there's
you need to be
traversal
just
and
a cat.
platforming where it's only one block wide. You can't fit in that with a
Right.
mech suit, which needs like 2 or 3 blocks. So you got to jump out. Only the cat can swim. The mech suit can't go into water. But later on, you wind up finding a submarine underwater. So like every time you jump out and go in the water, you're now in a submarine, and you could shoot in that. You have a bigger power burst and everything. And then you continue to go through the levels and stuff. And you have a nice map, just an easy, simple little 8-bit block map. That shows you sometimes there's a little hidden passage this way. Like you were in that room, but you didn't see the way to go to the left.
Castlevania,
you know?
the Metroid.
Exactly. You know, like that's what reminded me so much of it. It's based just like that, like side screen, side screen, side screen. It's not super difficult. You can kind of cruise through it. I think it took me 3.5 hours maybe to get through the whole thing. But then it gives you your stats at the end. And it's like, you missed this stuff. And I was like, I have to play it again. Like I'm going.
Are you playing
like
on Switch?
I am playing on Switch. Yeah, it was $8. I think.
Do we
I think it was
know if
$7 or $8?
it's on Switch and Steam only? Is that
I
right?
believe so. I just saw it on Switch because I did see it previously, and I put it in my wish list. And I was like, oh, it's like $15. I'll get this when I'm done playing stuff. And then I saw that it was half price. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'll buy it now.
And you're loving it.
I loved it. I played the whole thing in 2 sittings. I played, if I didn't fall asleep, like it was super late. If I didn't fall asleep almost right away, I would have played the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But you continue.
It's on Steam and Switch. Sorry.
Is it on Steam and Switch? Yeah. But as we were saying before, it's black and white or whatever. But you go around and you find these cassette discs or cassette tapes, I should say, and it's really just in extra stuff. It's in extra secret rooms, and it changes the color. So like, I finished my game with like a lime green and black, and there's like a
Game Boy.
yeah, it just changes the colors, you know, like, and they have names that make sense to what it is, and it just changes all the colors of how the game looks.
Cool.
And by the end, like I ended.
So totally,
I wanted to look like the Matrix. I was like, boom, 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 boom.
This
like
is
going through
totally a game that I will pick up when I'm not playing something. Just pick it up.
This
play
sounds like a
through
Dan
That's
game.
what it is. I always like to have something
me game.
on Switch. Like I want something on Switch that I could just play if I don't feel like turning a console on.
Yeah, if you have
And
like half an hour and you're like, what am I gonna do?
I
Like,
had just finished Crash Team Racing story mode, so I was like, all right, let me do this. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's
all
so
right.
good.
That's awesome.
You get all these power ups and stuff, and you'll fight like a little rat guy, and the story's actually good. Like you get to the end, and the story it's a cohesive story.
I think I'm gonna have to
I
snag
can't,
this.
like I
Yeah,
said,
I'm
I can't
definitely
recommend
gonna
it
play this.
enough.
Cool. Thanks, Shob.
Shelby, thank you.
So I'm probably
You're welcome.
that seems like a good Switch game.
Yeah.
Probably grab it on there.
I mean, it's no perfect 10, but it's a fantastic game.
Cool.
Hey.
And that's Gato Roboto.
Gato Roboto.
Cat robot.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And the last game on this list that we haven't talked about, Dan and myself have been playing Sea of Solitude. So this is the game. You probably have seen it on EA's stage at E3 last year. Microsoft had a thing with it. It is a really beautiful kind of, I guess you could call it like it's almost like a Shadow of the Colossus looking like Rhyme. It's in that same sort of
is that like,
realm of third person, little pull back more than like a Sony game would be. Kind of exploration.
like Journey, like a very like that sort
perfect,
of.
yeah. And this game is made by a studio called Joe May, and it was written, programmed, and basically mostly created by this one woman. I'm gonna pull up her name real quick.
But yeah, you play as this girl named Kay, and she's like her whole body is like this sort of like monster, and you're in this sort of
Jesus.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting way to say that.
What a subtle way to be like, just this nice woman, Kay. Who's
No,
just
so the thing
a
about
monster.
Kay is right when you start the game, she's on a boat and she's all black and frilly looking.
She got red
She
eyes.
is monstrous looking.
Yeah. Okay.
But she's confused as to why she looks like that too. That's the whole point of the game.
and every person and every sort of
father was a no good pig stealing great. But go ahead. Sorry.
no. So every person that you come across, whether it be like an enemy or anything like that, they have the same sort of like aesthetic. Like they're all some sort of like beast, and they're all like manifestations of her, her relationship or her feelings towards that person or even herself as you're traversing this sort of flooded Berlin-esque city.
Yeah, it's European for sure, and I know that the developer's German. Her name is Cornelia Geppert, and she's very open about saying this game I made this game because I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I just wanted to make a game that kind of talked about that kind of thing. Yeah. So the thing so we'll talk about this game in a couple ways because it's certainly not a perfect game, but I think it's beautiful. I think the music is great, and I think that a lot of the stuff that it's going for hits really hard, but a lot of it doesn't. And I should say I'm less than halfway through. I probably played an hour and a half, something like that. I don't think it's very long. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
4 to 6 hours or something.
Yeah. So I think I've done about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so far, my gripes with it are that, it can be overtly about something. It could literally be all right, in the very beginning, there's this big monster blocking your path. And the monster's you're a worthless piece of shit, talking to Kay, don't, you can't do anything, just go back to doing nothing like you usually do, whatever. Very overt, obvious, over the head, is what it is. But some of that stuff can, hit you and be oh, man, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the stuff is just I don't know.
So that's what I was going to say. I think it's a very... I'm sorry, I hope I just didn't cut you.
You didn't. Go ahead.
I think it's a very genuine game in that
Yes.
they're trying to talk about some very, very real things, and as you said, the developer herself said that this is something that I've struggled with, and as you go through different chapters, I don't know how far you are, you run into the character that you play as brother, you run into her family, and like
I've done the brother stuff, and that's
okay
it, yeah.
So like the brother stuff, like I thought there were moments in that were really, really, I don't know if this is too spoily, but like there were moments where the brother's a manifestation, this bird-like creature, and the unspoken moments between your character and the brother, I thought were the most hard-hitting. I felt like you could really feel this sort of weight behind it. I want to say, though, like you were saying, where it hits you over the head in a way. We were talking about, Joseph Fares, and the way that Brothers was able to convey so much emotion and so much truth without saying anything. Whereas A Way Out, it was very dialogue heavy in a way that might detract.
And it showed that he wasn't a good writer. Like, he may have good ideas, but he's a bad writer, right? That's kind of what it boils down to. And I think that's a big part of this. I think so. It's certainly not on the level of A Way Out.
Right.
As far
and
as,
I wasn't trying to say that because I do believe it's a very genuine. Experience.
No, it is very genuine. But what I will say is, I feel that. Number one, I think it's disjointed because you said a lot of this surrounds Kay's experience,
with people in her life,
but it doesn't feel cohesive. It feels like if you wanted to make a game about the brother's experience and a game about the parents' relationship and a game about Kay, I think they would all be better games for it. Where it's almost like it doesn't feel like one cohesive thing. Right. You know what I mean? It's like jumping from, okay, we're dealing with what's wrong with Kay, and now we're dealing with this brother situation. Right. It doesn't gel well, in my opinion.
From an outside perspective, it kind of sounds like this woman made a game about her.
She did, yeah.
And that's just, her life is in disarray, and it's just, that's why it probably doesn't feel so cohesive, because if you don't like are on not on the same wavelength as her with some of the stuff, it's just you kind of feel a disconnect where you're like, well, I can't sympathize with that because I never experienced something like this, and this woman sounds like she's just all over the place with this in a way.
Well, honestly, I
talk about her like a woman. She's a game creator. Yeah.
But it was not necessarily that, because I can empathize with what's going on in the story just fine. It's not a matter of I haven't had the experience that she's had. It's a matter of like Dan said, so the writing is not nuanced in any way. You know what I mean?
I feel like it takes you out of the
actual dialogue, like the writing, is not nuanced. Whereas the world that they built, and like I said, the way the visuals interact with the story in an unspoken form, I think is very effective.
I agree.
And if the game was that, like, look at Journey, right?
Right.
There's no dialogue. And it conveys an amazing story. It's what we're talking about. This is the whole theme of what we're saying, like the Joseph Fares thing. It's like, I think that it succeeds when it's saying less, even though the times when it says something are sometimes powerful and sometimes just totally miss the mark.
Yeah, sometimes when it's very heavy-handed in the way that it's brought to you, it seems like it takes you out of the actual experience. So like the whole brother chapter is probably my favorite chapter so far. I kind of didn't, I hate to say it, I kind of fallen off the game because it just kind of became a bit of a slog in that way for me. I've also just was busy, but there's the whole you can feel the main character's relationship to this bird-like creature, and you know that it's her brother, and the way that the brother reacts to her as the bird, you can sense the sadness, you can sense the sorrow, you can sense the betrayal, and like you got that right from the beginning. And then as you're doing the level, it's just
verbalizing it,
and it's verbalized
that didn't need
so much.
It's so overtly.
It's like, oh, you weren't there.
Just
for
would
me.
have
Why
been.
weren't you there for me? You were there for me. Why weren't you there for me? Why
Yes.
aren't you listening to me? Why weren't you there for me?
And if none of that was there, I feel it would be more effective.
I agree. And again, I'm not trying to downplay the experience or the genuineness of this game, because I think it's definitely speaking on stuff that should be spoken about, and I believe in the veracity of the story, but I think, like we were saying with Joseph Fares, I would have thought the game would have maybe been a little bit more profound to me, especially in the way that Brothers was, if maybe it was less dialogue heavy.
Yes.
Because you can sense the emotion. You said it's a beautiful looking game, and I think that the way that it's done, the way that the sprites are done, and the way that the animations are done, it conveys more.
Could have just benefited from a less is more mentality.
I agree.
Show don't tell.
No.
But I will also say there's a very easy comparison here to a game that was our game of the year last year.
As far as story notes with Celeste.
Oh, well, for sure.
Yeah.
Very obvious.
For sure.
It's a dark version, light version. Like
Right.
You're dealing with that, right?
For sure.
So Celeste was able to do it in a dialogue heavy way and do it well because the writing was very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it starts to. You don't want to make excuses for a game because you're rooting for it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So like you need to be genuine and say this game is not nailing it.
Yeah.
Because there is a game that nailed it
Right.
and did very similar things.
Right.
And that's where we kind of come to this game and say, okay, I like what they're doing. I like a lot of the stuff, but the writing just isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'm not going to say it's a bad game, but I don't think it's a very good game.
I think unfortunately, I think.
And I haven't finished it. Maybe the ending is profound in some way. I don't know. But
I think it might fall in the middle of the herd in that sort of way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I know.
And like I said, I think these sort of topics and these sort of stories and stuff need to be explored, and I think it's important. I'm not sure Sea of Solitude will be hanging up there with games like Celeste,
Right.
Or
Love
other
the
games.
name title though.
Yeah.
That's a good name title. Sea of
And
Solitude.
I'm telling you, the tone of it, the artwork, incredible, absolutely incredible. But
No, definitely.
it's just not nailing what it's going.
The
for.
dialogue heaviness is actually it's probably its biggest flaw in a way.
Yeah. That is Sea of Solitude. It is out on PS4, Xbox, and PC.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's $20, something like that.
Yeah,
It's nothing too crazy.
I think that's all I have to say about Sea of Solitude.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I will finish it before the year's over. Again, I don't think my feelings are going to change very much, but I will check back in when it's finished. So that's it for what we've been playing this week.
Hold on.
Oh.
I need to get some retribution.
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh,
For my friend Pedro.
Oh,
that's
that's right.
right.
That's right.
I need to get a little retribution.
I knew
'cause
Shelby.
I
I said it on the podcast. I think Shelby's going to be enjoying it a lot more than I
I
do.
know you didn't have a good time with it, and I didn't disagree with everything you said. I think you just needed to play it a little longer.
Okay.
I think you need to play it because
tell him, Shelby. Tell him.
No. Because I did, like I said, I did agree with some of the stuff you were saying. The game starts off a lot slower than you expect,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but here's the thing: it wants you to play this as like an arcade game. It wants you to replay its levels over and over again, in a sense of you complete the first level and it grades you and it goes, my first level I got a C for could have done better. And I'm like, well, you're right. I could have done better. And what I loved about the game is that every 2 or 3 levels, they add a new aspect. You have the gun. Now you got 2 guns. Now you got an Uzi. Now you got 2 Uzis. Now you got a shotgun. Now this enemy type is different. Now there's a skateboard. The first time I shot somebody with a shot, now you can kick something. The kicking stuff is my favorite. It's so much fun. The first time I shot somebody with a shotgun and their body exploded and now you can kick their head, torso, or their legs and stuff, I was hysterical. I was like, this is so... I blasted this guy. His head went flying up in the air and I kicked it into the next guy. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like, this game does not take itself seriously whatsoever. It's just so funny. But... I completely agree when at first you're like talking to this banana and the banana's just like telling you stuff and you're like, okay, I don't really care, but you kind of just go through it. There is no weight to it whatsoever. But as you go through it, the levels later on are so good. Like I said, it wants you to get better at the game because in the beginning you're like slow. You're trying to learn the controls. You slow down time and stuff. Then you learn that you get better points by not slowing down time. You want to go through it a lot quicker than that. And the boss fights, did you do any of the boss fights? Did you do the first one?
Yeah, I did the first
one. The first one's pretty cool. The last one's really cool.
So you beat the full game, Shelby?
Oh, I beat the full game. Yeah. It's not long. I forget how many levels there are, but there's like 3 main bosses, or maybe 4, but I think it's 3. And there's like a cool little reveal at the end or whatever. But there's one stretch of levels where you go to the bananas world, and it's like everything's just bouncy and pink and playful and shit. And he's like, yeah, there's these guys like invading my house or whatever, and those are the guys you shoot. They're like little black looking guys, like covered in black. They have no face or anything like that. And you're shooting them while just bouncing like crazy all over the place. And the slowdown stuff, like I enjoyed the crap out of this game. I thought it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Trying not, because I know at first you had compared it to like Hotline Miami and stuff like that, and I totally threw those out the window and tried to play this as its own thing. Yeah, you know.
But that's the thing about it is like
it's just tough when it comes out after games like that, especially with a Devolver game, you know.
Yes.
Or Devolver published it. Sorry.
It's not for me. It's not so that's definitely a major part of it, but at its core, I don't like how it feels. So for me, and that's a
subjective
person-to-person thing because, you know, some people prefer different styles of platforming over others, different styles of shooting over others. And it's like, I'm playing this game, so nothing grabbed me, and then I didn't like the way it felt. Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, even if it gets better, the levels get better, stuff like that, I just don't think it's for me. You know what I mean?
See, I had to complete. I love the way it felt. I love the jumping around and stuff. And then trying to figure out like how you could do it better was the fun part to me. Like, you go through the levels, whatever. You can go through every level pretty easily because you could slow down time and dodge bullets. It's like, all right, you can get through this, no problem. Right. And then it's trying to figure out how to do it better. That was the more fun for me, you know.
Yeah, kind of like a Trials.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it does feel super slow when you do it the original way to get through the level. And then trying to figure out how to do it quickly in as least amount of time as possible, that's where the game became a lot more fun for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure. Well, but like I said,
I had an inkling that this was the case anyway. I was like, I'm not saying like this is a terrible game. I just don't think it's for me. You know what I mean?
By no means. Like, if I'm rating this game out of 10, I'm like 6.5, 6 point something. You know, like this is no incredible game.
All that matters.
But that's the thing. I think it's just you got to play it like an arcade game. I think almost where you just replay the levels, put your quarterback in, and do it again. You know?
And that's the thing. The funny thing is, I love those type of games, but there's something about the physics and the gravity and the way how fast the bullets move. I just didn't like it at all. That's why I'm saying like Contra games are like some of my favorite games. That's your arcadey ass run side to side shoot, but it's just I couldn't get behind the way My Friend Pedro felt for me, and that's you know like we said that's a totally you know Shelby likes the way it felt. I didn't, so you know. That's a try it and see sort of deal.
I definitely probably would not go spend $25 on it right away because it's super short. Yeah. Wait till it goes on sale, buy it, and it's a fun pickup.
Cool.
You know?
Thanks, Shelby.
All right. Yeah, thanks for that perspective, Shelby. So that's officially it for what we've been playing, barring any other objections. But next, I just want to talk briefly about the Nintendo Switch Lite that was announced. They basically are coming out with a Switch that does not dock, handheld only, no detachable Joy-Cons. It's just one big, some would say it's like the Vita.
And a D-pad.
And a nice looking D-pad without those stupid arrows, since they are not detachable Joy-Cons. Yeah. It's $200, really good deal, obviously.
What's Switch at right now? 300?
300, is like the normal price for a Switch. Right. This has a bit of a smaller screen. It's a little more compact. Like I said, no TV connectivity, no rumble in the controllers. What else?
Is there any changes to the specs as far as like quality of
720p? Is the screen, which I think the normal Switch is
definitely higher than that.
I think it's 1080, the normal Switch. I'm not
720 is standard definition. Technically it's high definition. HD, it's technically, but it's the first inkling of high definition.
And that's pretty much the basics of it. I mean, I think this is a pretty cool idea for a somebody that doesn't have a Switch and like commutes a lot, or
this might be
a kid maybe. It's like this could be a really cool system, but if you like the whole reason it's called the Switch, the fact that you can switch it between your TV and a handheld, then I don't see
that was
the.
really good. Did you do the commercial?
But yeah, it's certainly not for anyone that already owns a Switch, which is all of us.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you know somebody that's, hey, I want to Switch, but $350 is a big investment. $200, like I always say, for Xbox and everything, it's like more options is always better. So even if this isn't for you, that doesn't mean that you have to be upset about it.
Right.
And I'm super excited to see all the color combinations they come out with.
Yeah, they've already the three that they announced were the yellow, the turquoise, and the light gray.
Yeah. So they look really nice. They're very colorful.
All look nice. Yeah.
I'm waiting for those multi combination
Oh, it's
ones.
like the Link looking ones.
They're gonna come.
Donkey Kong.
They have
one.
all those separate colors and stuff. Like they're gonna come. I think.
Yeah,
they're gonna
they
be
showed.
pretty cool looking
I don't know
ones.
what. Yeah, this is the limited edition Pokemon
that's
Sword
cool.
and Shield one.
Oh, so it's like kind of
it's-
see through with blue and purple.
It's got blue on the left side, pink on the right.
Pink on the right, yeah, right.
And then on the back it has the sword Pokemon and the Shield Pokemon.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Remember that? What was that old the super dope Game Boy Advance? The purple one you could see through. They had controllers and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are so cool.
Those are great.
They should make that again. But
Atomic Purple.
there's
I
not
think it's
really a
called.
bunch of stuff inside you could see anymore like that. It's
Right.
just kind of like one
just one
motherboard
chip.
and then it's
But yeah, that's the Nintendo Switch Lite. Comes out September 20th. Thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool. I mean, we knew something else. We knew Switch had or Nintendo had something going on, and we still have the inclination that they're gonna do a Pro.
They had
all but
mentioned
come out and
this
say
is the first model in the Switch family. So
watch, they keep getting smaller.
Be more, yeah.
They keep making it until it's just a Game Boy and it's just
Micro,
vertical
yeah.
again.
Switch Micro. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got.
Check it out. It's just a toggle and two buttons.
There you go.
Nice and agile.
That's awesome.
The only other thing I have here on the little quick news hits that we have, Netflix announced they are partnering with Studio MDHR to make a Cuphead animated series.
Yay.
That's
And that wasn't
cool
sarcastic.
idea.
Sorry. No, I meant
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Cool idea, perfect fit.
Same style, like the
Same
same
style,
Max
yeah.
Fletcher.
Yeah.
Need
So
to. After
Yeah,
how
sure,
good the
they
game
can't-
looked, you
yeah.
have to.
yeah. So sounds pretty cool. They also partnered this with the announcement that the upcoming DLC for Cuphead is pushed back to 2020. But
With the Golden Chalice lady, right?
yes. So yeah, not too much to say about that. Just that seems like a good fit for an animated series. Finally, the people that said Cuphead was too hard can
Just watch it.
Yeah,
Can enjoy it
can
without
enjoy
having
it without having to beat
I
it.
still have yet to beat it. I'm stuck. It's hard. I
But
got
yeah,
stuck on that in The Witness. I'm stuck.
yeah, those are two pretty hard games.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
But I think that's gonna do it for the podcast here, guys. Unless
Cool.
we have anything else to talk about.
No, that was fun.
I
It's good
think
to have you back, Shelby.
Yeah, thanks for being
Nice
here,
to be
Shel.
back.
There's a hole missing when you're not here.
There's a hole missing.
A whole missing. Let's all repeat it a few more times.
Dan, thank you for being here as always.
You don't. I gotta go home. Have a good one.
And thank you guys for listening. Until next time. Peace.
Good one.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.